Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Innerviews, where we meet the people behind the businesses and the brands. And today I am super excited to be speaking to Denise and Neil Glezer-Jones, who have a very unique business and a very successful one. So I'm very excited to hand over. Denise, please will you tell us more about your business and how you started it?
Thanks, Melanie. I just wanted to also do a quick thank you to you for giving us this amazing opportunity. So basically what we do at Caring Candies is we manufacture candy and chocolate, but without any nasty stuff. So no sugar, no artificial sweeteners, colorants, flavorants, preservatives, none of that stuff. We use all natural substitutes for our ingredients. And oh gosh, how we started. Okay, so sorry, I'm nervous. So we started 17 years ago. Neil at the time was an accountant. I was a web designer. We had no knowledge of manufacturing, no knowledge of candy production, none of that. And I was put on a really restrictive eating plan by my homeopath. And amongst other things, it restricted sugar, dairy, gluten. And at the time, there was nothing that I could eat that made me feel like I was having a guilt-free treat and that didn't affect me negatively. Everything that I had was packed with artificial sweeteners or colorants, and I got hideous headaches, and I just didn't feel well about it. I didn't feel well when I was on this eating plan, and I was supposed to be feeling amazing. So we started investigating, what are we putting in our bodies? How is what we're putting in our bodies affecting our health? And we started really doing research into it. And we started looking at what was available in the market, and we saw a massive need for healthy, sugar-free, gluten-free products that were not filled with all the artificial stuff. And of course, because there was nothing available, we started looking at what would be involved with making something like that available. So that was what started it, and that was 17 years ago. And at the time, Neil developed the recipe in consultation with several health food business owners, and we spoke with dietitians, we spoke with specialists that work with diabetics, we learned about the glycemic index of foods, and we started getting some flavors manufactured for us that would be not just tasty, but functional as well. So we had a great idea. We thought, well, what if we could make a product that wasn't just healthy and delicious, but it actually was good for you? So we started looking at really unique flavors like ginger, which is very useful for constipation, digestion, nausea, travel sickness. There was the lavender, which is good for high blood pressure, the licorice, which is good for low blood pressure. And he developed some flavors together with some flavor houses. And then we found a contract manufacturer which approached with our concept. But we said to them, these are the ingredients we want you to use, and we supplied the ingredients, and we also supplied them with the recipe. And we worked with them for what now? You can jump in
3 or 4 years, but then we outgrew them.
Okay.
They couldn't with what we wanted to do, so we realized it was time that we started, because he was a sugar manufacturer, doing sugar-free on the side first, and then the sugar industry was more important to him, so we couldn't get the time we needed, so we decided it's time that we do it ourselves.
We needed to manufacture. It wasn't something Neil and I ever wanted to do. We never ever saw ourselves as owning a factory, doing production, manufacturing. Never in a million years did we foresee that would be our future.
It was a typical situation. If you want something done right, do it yourself.
They
I,
need to take over, and we've expanded and expanded and expanded. And what started off with just candy, now we're doing candy and chocolate. Everybody's nagging us for gummy sweets, and that would be another whole facility altogether. But yeah, so we worked with a contract manufacturer for the first couple of years until we started doing it on our own. That was a big step
yes.
for us to acknowledge, okay, this is something we need to do and commit to it. Because in the food manufacturing industry, there's so many regulations that you have to comply with and abide with, and there's auditing that happens, and it's a huge thing for somebody to commit to all those procedures and policies and regulations that you're actually going to follow them, and you're going to follow them correctly, and you're going to do it the right way. So that really was a big step for us.
I can imagine that as a contract packaging facility, if your speciality was working with sugar, didn't the guy have to clean out all his equipment before he could make your stuff so that there wouldn't be any crossover?
No, we got to a stage where we actually had two different facilities that we went into a co-renting, with him.
Okay.
But then he lost his sugar factory and then brought it into the sugar-free factory. And that was like, we're talking like 2005, 2006. And we didn't know manufacturing at that stage. So it's only where in 2007, when we couldn't get what we needed, we decided, well, let's start our own. So we went out, we found a facility, then we went to the health department and said, please come and have a look at the facility for us and tell us if it's okay. And then we discovered that it wasn't. It didn't have enough natural light, enough, airflow and that kind of thing. So after 6 months, we were so lucky our landlord let us out of the lease, found himself another tenant, and then we went to a facility that was 3 times the size. And then we were in that facility for 7 years, and then we moved across the road to another facility that was 3 times that size. Yeah, and that's where we are right now.
But I think also Melanie's asking about contamination of the ingredients in that. The manufacturer that we used was, he's also HACCP approved and also had all those allergen control procedures in place and deep cleaning that would happen between batches if there was shared equipment. But we actually had our own set of equipment as well. So there was no worry about cross-contamination between the sugar ingredients, and all of our ingredients were kept separately. Our packaging was kept separately. It was all done, above board, which was very, it was very comforting. You walked into his facility and you can see immediately, gosh, this guy, he's doing it the right way. So we had absolute every confidence in him, and that wasn't a concern for us at all.
Okay.
But that's never actually been a concern. We've always, and like Neil said, that we got the health inspector to come and look at the first facility that we ourselves were going to take over. We didn't know what the rules were because we'd never had our own facility. The contract manufacturer, he had all the HACCP in place. We didn't know anything about HACCP. So we had to learn very, very quickly. And we've been very blessed because the health department have worked very closely with us to help us get food safety recognized, food safety approved. Your premises itself has to be certified as acceptable to manufacture food. So we've got a great relationship with the department. They trust that we'll do what they tell us needs to be done. So that was always been very nice. We rather work with the departments and do it properly, the right way.
I mean, when we left the smaller factory, we actually, when we went to view the other factories, we asked the help come and have a look. This is
be okay.
We went to one facility and said, no, there's asbestos on the roof and that kind of thing. So it's okay, no, we can't go here, sorry. And then we found the unit and said, yes, you can do it here. And that kind of stuff.
So we're in our third production facility, and we're kind of outgrowing this one as well. And if we were to do gummies, which we'd love to in the future, we'd absolutely have to move out of here. We don't have space for the machinery that's required for something like that.
This is such an inspiring story because it's two people who knew nothing about an industry, who just saw a gap and then applied the skills that you had to that gap that you saw. Wasn't that frightening?
So blessed. We often thought, why don't the big boys do this? But Neil, a very good answer for that, and that is the margins are so small in sugar-free. That's why the big boys don't do it, because they're not going to make any money. You know, we've been doing this for 17 years, and it's taken us a very long time to establish ourselves where we are. But I know we often looked, we said, well, what makes us different? What makes us unique? And I think what makes us unique and what made the difference is the passion behind it.
Yes.
And the why we started the business was not just obviously to service my personal health needs, but how many millions of other people out there needs could we service?
Yes.
From kids with ADHD who can't have artificial colorings and flavorings, to the gluten intolerant, to the people with allergies, to the diabetics, type 1 and type 2, people that were doing keto at the time. When we started 17 years ago, keto wasn't very popular. The only people I knew that were on keto were people who had family members that were on the autism spectrum or were on keto for diseases that for diseases. It wasn't really a popular health lifestyle at all, and it certainly wasn't being used for weight loss at that time when we started. So we the why we started was, look how many people we can help. Why not?
I love that.
You know.
But the other thing is that we the way I approached the whole costing exercise was not the way a normal manufacturer would.
Yes.
I took a look at this product that I had in front of me. I said, like, what is a fair price? And I said, well, R2.50. Then I said, right, how much does the shop want? Then how much does the agent want? How much does it cost me? What's left? Can I live with that? Yes. Okay. No, that's what we did. And it took somebody 6 years to tell me, you've actually got to increase your price at some stage. Because I managed to price the product at a packaging position where I knew that I wanted to get to at a certain stage. So, and as you sell more and more, you get those economies of scale. So instead of like saying, right, every year I want my 5-6% increase, I just reduced my cost. Still managed with the same profit margin. So, yes, the actual real, when I remember looking back at my spreadsheet of like how much money we wanted to make in a month, and it was all about, our daughter was about to be born. In fact, she was born the day after I introduced the sweet.
Yeah, the first sale.
The idea was that Denise could earn 5,000 Rand a month and never have to go back to work again.
I'm a lot more expensive these days. For the hair and the nails.
It's wonderful to hear that he's given you a raise. So, Neil, I know that a lot of entrepreneurs out there really struggle with their product pricing. What advice can you give to entrepreneurs who are struggling with their product pricing?
It's everything, the cost is broken down into components. How much does it cost me? Ingredients, what's my labor, what's my packaging, and then you have those rather unknown figures like the things that we had to learn, the terms for the terms and rebates retailer. And all that kind of stuff. But I think at the end of the day, they're not your primary market to start with. Your primary market is the individual. So it's a lot easier to say, right, if everything costs you 9 Rand and you have fixed costs, things like your rent and that kind of thing, then you work out, everybody knows how to, or if you don't know, work out a break-even analysis. And the nice thing about break-even analysis, it works backwards and forwards. And you can play around with it. How much do I need? What's my product, my profit? That kind of thing. So I take things very simply. I don't try to get complicated. Like, this is how much my isomalt is. This is how much my color is. This is how much citric acid costs. This is how much my packaging costs. I add them all up, and that's how much the product costs. And you should then need to decide, right, that is the price. You can never, ever, ever sell for less than. And so that means
get better with economies of scale.
And that is the price that if somebody comes to your door and takes it from you, that's the least price you would ever sell it for. But if you get, then you have to think, well, if I want to sell in Durban or I want to sell in Gauteng or online, then am I going to charge the courier fee for somebody, or do I want to build it in? And then you add that aspect. Then you start thinking, well, am I going to go to a Clicks or a Pick and Pay or a Food Lovers, and you have to, work out and talk to people, and people can come ask me and say, like, what is the standard rebates? Saying, so I didn't know. I went to Pick and Pay, and I went to him and said, right. He said to me, how much does it cost? Well, it depends on how much you want to rebate, because my idea is I wanted my customer to get the cheapest price possible. So then he turns around and says, no, it doesn't work like that. You must just say, I want 15, 16 Rand profit or whatever, and then you work it out like that. But I was trying to work it from a situation where I'd say, right, if you want 15%, then I can do this, and I can give it to that price, and I can still get a little bit of profit on that side. But he was saying that, no, you must make profit. Don't worry about the price to the customer. Worry about your profit. And so
no,
you can't.
That didn't work. That didn't gel.
I didn't understand that concept. Because at the end of the day, there's always this, especially like with packaging, you've got to juggle. Do you go very often, like, the really beautiful stuff is cheaper than the cheap stuff, because you add 2 labels on a chocolate bar and a packet, and it can add up to, let's say, 50 cents. Right. You go and you spend a lot of money, you get 250 kilograms, which is like 2 years worth of stock, and it costs 8 cents.
Yes.
Packaging.
For the packaging. So the more beautiful sometimes is cheaper than the homemade look.
Yes.
And that's why as I said in the beginning, that's how I costed it, for eventually one day I'm going to have the beautiful look.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be complicated. Just if you add up all your costs and then you work out, if you've got 1 Rand left over and you say, right, my rent is 20,000, and you need to sell 20,000 in a month to make your rent. Very simple. And you say, well, I can't sell 20,000, I can only sell 10,000. That means you need 2 Rand profit. And you might want a bit of a salary as well at some stage, but generally most entrepreneurs, they just put everything back, and to the point where you have to think to yourself, I have to pay myself for doing this, because everybody, if I went to work for somebody else, they would have to pay me. I'm not going to do it for free, just because it's yourself. And think of it this way, you might be an entrepreneur, but you're still an employee.
Yes.
And employees have to be paid.
Yes. Absolutely.
But even though I say that, I always pay everybody before myself. Do that.
And I think right at the beginning, our criteria were that the product had to be delicious, it had to be healthy, and it had to be affordable, because at that time we were mostly aiming at the diabetics, and from what we knew, our limited knowledge, most diabetics are the older generation. We didn't really know that type 1 diabetics, little kids can be, we didn't know really anything about it at that point. So those criteria were so important to us, and they still are. It makes Neil so aggravated when we see a retailer overcharging, because he feels personally the customer's going to look at this and think, gosh, Caring Candies are expensive.
I'm not going to look and say the shop is expensive.
They're not. And that really aggravates him when there are greedy retailers.
Because then it goes against the whole reason for why we're in this. To give our
criteria. And he's actually been known to go and fully stock out of a shop that they've been too expensive, and we've tried to say to them, listen, you guys are too expensive. And he's actually, in the past, he's actually gone and taken his stock out the shop.
Well, in a way, that's exploiting you also, because you guys are taking reasonable margins, and then the store is exploiting.
And we take all the risk.
Yes.
So, and yeah.
I wouldn't
It's
want
just,
to.
I like it.
I wouldn't want to deal with people who treated me that way either. That's very interesting insight. Now, I'm very interested because you guys are a couple and have been working together for a very, very long time.
I've got an answer.
Go.
Another answer. No one actually works. The fact is that we have two different skill sets.
Okay.
I'm the introvert or the kind of ambivert, so I like to work with the figures and that kind of thing. And Denise is the extrovert. She likes working with the people.
Yes.
So we have the marketing department and we have the nuts and bolts department.
Yes.
Obviously, sometimes marketing and accounting don't get on very well.
Not at all. Ideas. Where's the money coming from?
But we have processes in place. She understands now that a person like me, you need to come with the market, the data, how many you're going to do, what it's going to cost, and that kind of thing. And I'll say, okay, well, not now, maybe in a couple of months, or yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Or right, let's do it right now.
But right. So we've been married for 25 years, and we've been working together for 17.
Okay.
And I would say, I think it's taken us probably about 15 years to figure out how to work with each other rather than against each other. Because like Neil says, I'm the creative, I've got the creative energy. That's my profile. He's more the analyst, the details, the financial side of things. So often I'll come to him and say, oh, let's do this or let's do that and let's run this. And he'll be like, show me the money. Where's the money coming from? But it took us about 2 years to, first of all, to understand one another's profiles. And we did a profile test. And also for me to learn how to approach him more than, I kind of had to do all the learning, I think, here, because I had to learn, I had to go to him to ask him for the permission to spend the money. But I had to learn that before he'll even listen to me, he wants the full presentation. I need to say, oh, let's do this. This is how much it's going to cost. This is when I think we should launch it. This is who I think needs to be involved, blah, 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 blah. And only then when I give it to him that he can actually look at the data, then he can come to a decision. Otherwise, he'll say, but where's this? But who's this? So I need to go to him with almost like a presentation, not a PowerPoint thing or anything, but I need to have done my homework because I can be damn sure he's going to ask me all the hard questions. So we've learned how to work together. And also, we've actually done the profiling test on our entire management team. We're a small company. It's basically Bill, myself, we've got a quality control lady, and we've got a production manufacturer, manager, and then we've got our production staff, our food handlers, and then we have an orders controller. So we're a very close-knit team. But those main people that I mentioned, the quality controller, the production manager, we all have to work together, and we have to work as a team. And every one of us has a different way of working. And so we've managed to identify through profiling tools the best way to communicate with one another.
Yes.
And also not to try and give the production manager, not to give him tasks that don't suit his profile. So he's really mechanically minded, for example, but he could really be sucky at admin. So we've actually, over the last 2 years, learned to move tasks within the team to people that are better suited to doing that. Some people, it comes easy and naturally to, and those tasks just flow out of them. Yes. Neil loves admin, he loves analytics, he loves numbers, but that, for example, or me, I don't like that.
Yes.
So we've learned to work not just with each other, but with the entire team strengths, which I think has been really, really helpful. And we've got a really strong team. Yes. Really strong team. So that's been great. Yeah. So I haven't strangled him yet. I've wanted to. He's fired me 3 times over the 17 years. He thinks
It's about it's about you can have one ship's captain.
That was the problem. He was the captain of the ship, and I didn't know how to communicate properly with him. But now things are much better. Hey,
Yeah.
He quite likes me now.
Yeah.
Those are such valuable insights. Thank you. I'm sure that people watching will learn a whole heap from that. I recently interviewed a lady who does brain profiling, and I can definitely agree that doing a process like that is very helpful for understanding how to communicate with people whose brains work differently to your own.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, Denise, I've seen some of your packaging and it's beautiful. Are you responsible for all the design?
No. I give the concept to, we work with a designer in Durban,
Okay.
and I tell her basically what the idea is and what the concept is, and then she'll come back with a draft. And then I get stuck into it. And that's
Okay.
when I make the changes, and together we get it to a finished product. So she'll start off with the basic design, and then I'll change it. Sometimes almost completely, but yes. So I'm not completely responsible,
Yes.
but I play a massive role in it, and
Okay.
I love doing that kind of stuff. Love doing that. So
And what are the most important aspects of packaging to think about when you're designing new packaging for a new product?
well, the South African labeling regulations are so restrictive on what we are allowed and what we are not allowed to say. So here's an example. We are not allowed to tell our customer that our colorants are natural. We are not allowed to tell our customer that our sugar substitute is not artificial. We are not allowed to use the words artificial or natural together with ingredients listings. There is so much that, so my way that I've got around it is by saying no nasty stuff.
Okay. In plain English.
We're not allowed to say.
But we also do in the ingredients, instead of saying red, we say this from beetroot juice.
Well, you have to put the source, but we can't say natural colorants and then in brackets beetroot juice. We just have to say colorants, beetroot juice. So the regulations are so restrictive in South Africa. So we really are limited, but a lot of what goes on the packaging is determined by the regulations. So the normal things like where it's manufactured, your net weight, contact details, all of that has to be on there. But we have had to get creative with getting the message across to our customer that, yes, this is safe for you because there are no allergens or there's zero net carbs, or we've had to be really creative. And I have reached out to the Department of Health, the people that created those regulations, and I've said to them, I'm really stuck here. I'm not allowed to tell my customer that it's natural. Well, what do I do? And most of the time they just shrug the shoulders. They can't really give me advice. So we have really had to be very creative with that. It does aggravate us a little bit when we see competitor products out there that are not following the rules, but we focus on what we do, and that's the only way we can work.
But it's not it's not only that. Like, we at one stage we had a company that wanted us to make blue and white lollipops for them, and they wanted the artificial because they wanted it the people's tongue to go blue.
It was part of branding. They wanted.
So at that stage, I didn't even know where to get artificial colors from. But then I found a company, and they said, and I just need a kilogram. So there's a kilogram of powder. It's quite expensive. It's 95 Rand a kilogram. So I said, okay, that's fine, because that's cheaper than I was paying for natural. So I went there and I got the powder. So I said, well, how do I dose it? Well, this will make equivalent of 1,000 kilograms of blue color for you for 95 Rand.
Wow.
Now, if you compare that to our blue that we found in America, I bought 10 kilograms in the other day, and it cost me 29,000 Rand.
Wow. It took us 7 years to find a natural blue that was both kosher and halal. So in other words, it wasn't from squid ink. It's vegetable based. It took us 7 years to find that.
So when you
That's amazing.
consider that one company on their packaging, they have a product which costs them 9.5 cents per color, and you look at mine and it cost me 90 Rand equivalent, it seems a little unfair. You know what I mean?
It's very unfair.
Wow, that's so interesting. And you know, I love color. I used to have a business selling fabric dyes, so um, I find this fascinating. Uh, and blue can be a tricky color, and
Especially
people.
because it needed to be halal because our products are kosher and halal. And it took us 7 years to find it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now I
Found
know
it.
you folks are exporting your products to other countries. Which countries are you exporting to?
We export to Australia, to New Zealand, to Israel, to Netherlands, to the UK, and then obviously we have an online store. So people buy, I mean, we sent something up to Vietnam the other day, and we sent it up to the US. We used to be in the US from 2009 to 2012, but our agent left to go to emigrate to Germany, and we're not the kind of people who go searching for people. You know, we believe that the universe, they'll come to us at the right time. You know, so when the time is right, they'll find us, and then we'll be back in America soon.
But in terms of exporting, I would say that our biggest customers are Israel and Netherlands. The UK and that it's much smaller volumes than
Okay.
But we're working on the UK.
That's such an amazing story because most brands would like be clawing their way out there to get out
I
there.
don't you think he needs a lobotomy? I know he's.
You folks truly have a unique story. This is wonderful.
Not aggressive enough.
I'm not greedy.
Not aggressive enough.
No.
Okay, so
I think about it. It would be nice one day if we've got let's say we've got about 10 products now. Now it's difficult, and maybe in a couple of years when we've got 20 products, it's easier to fill up a container with 20 products than with 10 products. So there is a plan to it. You know, and I'm not just ignoring it. I do talk to companies, but you know, you have to get a shame that this company that was working with us, they put $100,000 in. They worked for 3 years and then they left it. And they got us into Whole Food stores, and we were on Amazon and other outlets and that kind of thing. Apparently, Cindy Lauper's son used to eat our sweets because he has autism. You know, like
because of the True Colors.
Yeah.
You know, her song True Colors. And so her son was on artificial colorants and all of that. And
so we have got history there. So people are still ordering from us who, you know, from those days kind of thing. But when America's a difficult country to get into, you have to have an agent there, you know, in order to do business there. And until we find the right agent, there's no point in just loading up a container and then sending it off into the wild blue under hoping that, you know, it's a sell.
And shipping is so expensive. But what we did do, I think it was, so there's the biggest sweet biscuit confectionery show in the world that happens every year, called ISM, and it happens in Cologne, Germany. And Neil used to go every year for quite a few years. I went along, I think twice, same. And we were actually invited to showcase our product in the newcomers area. And we actually did. We went, it was Neil, myself, the quality controller said, I'm coming with. And then her husband said, me too, you're not leaving me behind. And I set off for Germany with suitcases packed full of tasters and samples and that. And the people that come to ISM are all the big buyers from around the world, or manufacturers like us that want to showcase their product to all the big buyers. But at that time, that was 2 years ago, hey, we went with the product as it was packaged in the at that. Neil's going to go fetch some product off his shelf. We went with the product and showcased that product, but we knew that we had a plan.
So we went with that.
That was what it used to look like. Pull it back a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was what our product looked
So
like.
that's what we took to ISM with us. It's like each sweet is like free, you know, it writes Rome in this night. And then we bought the machines and everything. So we thought we'd come back and then we'd start making them like this, you know, with each wrap and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So we did to work for 7 months.
So that was the problem. So here we are at ISM and we're telling everybody, ignore this. This isn't going to be what the final product looks like. But we couldn't show what the final product looked like. And we thought, and this was end of January, and we thought, oh, our dye is going to arrive because the dye stamps like heart-shaped candies. All of our candies are handmade. All of our products are handmade. But we were going to bump up production and we were going to spit out the candies with this dye, and the dye was on its way. So, but I think it took like 7 extra months for the dye.
We only got to work in October.
Yeah, we only got it. So all those leads that we had, we couldn't really follow up on. So that kind of was a little bit of a
disappointment.
Yeah, a little bit of a disappointment. So we still have those.
But we'll go back again. We're going to go back again.
We were the only South African company that had exhibited there. And because we were in the newcomers area, we got so much foot traffic, which is amazing. And I don't know if you, and you know what the strangest thing is, that people that we met there in Germany, you know how many buyers from South Africa we met?
Wow.
The Christian buyers. He said, oh, hey, how's it, guys? I'm so-and-so. Oh, we always talk via email. So they were there. The Clicks buyers were there. And do you know who else was there? You know the singer Danny Kaye?
Wow.
So he has a sweet business as well with his partner, D and K. He's the Danny and the K is the partner. And so they were there, and this was before we tweeted and Instagrammed and all of that, and he was still filming us saying, hey, look who's here, Caring Candies from and he tweeted it out to all of his followers. So that was an amazing experience. But so we'd love to expand the export market, but so if anyone's watching out there in the YouTuber sphere, and you know somebody who would love to get involved with distribution of healthy sweets and chocolates, contact us.
I'm pretty certain you guys are going to go from strength to strength because diabetes is a global challenge. A lot more people are moving towards healthier eating. I know I've cut refined sugar out of my diet this year and have been surprised and amazed at how my health has changed since I've done that. So I see we're running out of time. I've really thoroughly enjoyed chatting with the two of you. It's been awesome. So one final question for each of you, and that is, Denise, what do you love most about what you do?
Oh my gosh, the look on the faces, and I can show you so many photos of the type 1 diabetic kids with their candies. I've actually I post every now and then some of the photos that the moms send me, and just those faces, knowing that those kids and the kids with allergies and the kids that can't do gluten, that they have something special. How can you not love that? The emails, the thank yous from those parents, that is just, I love that. Absolutely love that. That's the why. I love it. I love seeing why coming back to me. Absolutely.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And Neil, what is your favorite thing about your business?
Working with me.
I like the freedom of being an entrepreneur, and I like the challenge. I'm a very competitive person, and the funny thing is I'm always competing against myself. You know, like if you do the Argus Cycle Tour, you know, I'm always competing against my best time. I don't care about anybody else. I just want to be the best that I can be. So that's what's important to me. And it's actually funny because I've been listening a lot lately to entrepreneurs and like, I've had 7 successful businesses and all that. And I realized I have never, and I still haven't, sat down and established my benchmark for success. I still don't consider myself a success. And it kind of sounds crazy. We managed to carry on for 17 years and grow. And so what is my success? And I think the fact that I haven't actually put that barrier to success means that I'm just open and free to do as much and grow as, without limits.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for inspiring us today. So if anybody out there watching wants to contact you, where can we find you online?
Okay, so it's quite easy to get hold of us. We've got an online store, which is caringcandies.com. Let me quickly say something about the online store and our physical factory shop that's in Montague Gardens. Because of the customer base that we are catering to, we've included other brands that have the same, that service our target market's healthy lifestyle. So that have the same criteria and the same ethos as us. So on our online store and in our factory shop, there's the Caring Candies products, but there's also a whole range of other brands that are also low carb, gluten free, sugar free, no artificial. So the online store, you can shop directly. We ship internationally, so that's caringcandies.com. Our Facebook page, Caring Candies, you can contact us through that. You can follow us on Instagram as well, at Caring Candies. Twitter, not really so much. I'm working on that, but that would also be at Caring Candies. I just started a YouTube channel, so you can, and I'm posting some how we do it, how we make them kind of videos.
Yes.
And email info@caringcandies.com or .co.za comes straight to me. So you have got a direct link to the business owners through all of those channels.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for the time you spent with me today. It was truly inspiring, and I think that you've shared so much wisdom for others. I'm very grateful.
Thank you.
Yes,
thank you,
thank
Melanie.
you.
Thanks so much for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.